Brooke Smith, the Arts Education Director at St. Croix Festival Theater, and today I am joined by my friend Ryan Stevens, who is going to talk to us a little bit about playwriting. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Brooke. Hi, Festival Theater friends. It's great to be here.
Thank you for being with us today. Now, Ryan is an MFA playwriting candidate at the University of California, Los Angeles. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask Ryan a couple of questions about what that is. So what is an MFA in playwriting?
Great. So an MFA is a Master's of Fine Arts. It's a terminal degree, which basically means after I get this, I can teach about it, and I'm also out of schooling to do about it. I can't get a higher thing in it. An MFA in playwriting is meant to train you in the sort of history of theater writing, in forms and theater makers that have come before, and also give you time and space to figure out your own style, work with professionals, work with other artists of a similar skill level, and just really spend 2 to 3 years. My program is 3 years. Many others are 2 years. Just focusing on playwriting and practicing and getting yourself as in shape, as it were, for this job thing.
Now, you said it's a terminal degree, so what other degrees do you have that let you get to do this program?
Right. The only one that is needed, I guess, is a bachelor's degree. I have a BA, Bachelor's of Arts in Creative Writing from the University of South Carolina, and I have an MA, which is a Master's of Art, which is a master's degree but not a terminal degree, from theater, also from the University of South Carolina.
You know, I went to the University of South Carolina as well.
Wow, look at that. Go Gamecocks. We're everywhere.
So speaking about your own writing, I know that some of your plays have been being produced recently. Where are they going up right now? I know, right now things are on pause, but
not that recently. Semi-recently, in the before times.
yes.
Let me think here. Well, I had a short play called The Rockefeller Special, which is about the life of John D. Rockefeller, in less than flattering terms, that went up at Silver Spring Stage, one act festival in Maryland, and then they took it to Delaware, and then they had a third performance they were going to tour it to that has been postponed due to reasons. What else has been happening? Well, I've got a musical that we're hoping to workshop in the coming weeks once we're allowed outside of our homes again, with a musical group here in Los Angeles. And I have a play called I Build Giants that we are planning to that is going to be a radio play at the end of May through Shakespeare Company here at UCLA, and we're hoping to produce that next year when we're allowed outside again. And it is also intending to be staged in Chicago next year, so that's really exciting. And in October, this is my last one. In October, another play of mine called The Resurrectionist, which is a love story between a living person and a zombie, is getting a podcast version released in October through Theater Viscera, which is a theater company in Portland, Oregon. So that's really exciting.
That is delightful. Congratulations on all
Thank
of your
you.
success.
Thanks.
That's wonderful. Now, I know you're doing something else this fall. Maybe
I am.
Theater called Festival Theater.
I am. I'm a big fan of this theater company. It's a real feather in my cap to get to work with them in their extremely successful run of children's shows. I'm directing Stuart Little in September. We'll be getting into it in August, and I'm extremely excited. I really enjoy the work they do there, the work you do there, you and yours, and I can't wait to be an official part of the team for even a little bit.
Yay, we're so excited to have you. Now back to plays, just real quick. I have one more question I want to ask before you start to take over. What's your favorite play you've ever written?
Okay, this is a difficult question. It's more just man, I have to choose. Because I want to say whatever I'm working on at the time is my favorite, but that's maybe not entirely true. When did it go up? In December, because this is my final year of my MFA. My thesis production went up, It was a show called The Last Living Gun, which I actually, if I can pull a prop in, a friend of mine made this for me as a Christmas present. He published the play and gave it to me as a single book. So this is my I did a weird Australian accent there. My favorite play that I've written is this one called The Last Living Gun. It is a sort of post-apocalyptic version of a Western, and I'm really proud of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, post-apocalyptic. Maybe we don't want to read it right now.
I'll say a disease didn't do it.
Well, that's great, and congratulations on having that one produced as well.
Thanks.
So now I would like to turn it over to you, and
Great.
I become the student, and you become the teacher, and you teach us a little bit about playwriting.
Great. So when we talk about playwriting and when we talk about people trying to write for the theater for the first time or early in it, or even whenever, because one other thing that I've sort of learned in my time doing it is that every time you start a new project, you are starting at square one again. And as many other scripts as you've written, the first draft and the first page of the first draft is always just as hard and just as confusing. So when you get sort of lost in the thought of all the ideas you want to put down and all the things it could be and all the directions you could go, it can be very scary and it can be very paralyzing to not know how to start something. So one way that can really help with that is to give yourself some specific limitations and some specific parameters to use. So we're going to do a sort of we're going to do a sort of exercise today that I'm sort of cheekily calling playwriting by numbers, which is we are just going to give ourselves a few specific elements, almost like a Mad Lib, if you've done Mad Libs, where you just fill in the blanks. So what we need is one location, 2 characters, 3 goals, and now goals can be any sort of size of thing. Maybe if you're an actor, you've heard of objectives, and your small objective, your large objectives, your super objective. That vocabulary is probably not exactly right because I'm not an actor, so I don't know it all. Anyway, you can have a small objective, which can be as simple as, a character has something stuck between their teeth and they really need to get it out and it's really bugging them. Or you have a rock in your shoe and you need to find a place to stop walking so you can get that rock out of your shoe because it hurts. It can be sort of medium goal, like get to the store on Black Friday and get the sale because you really, really want it. Or, find your child's lost toy because it means a lot to them. That's a medium goal. It's attainable, but there's stakes to it. And then it could be a big goal, like become president or find love or, beat the dragon, a larger goal. So you need 3 goals, ideally, let's say 1 of each size to give yourself some variance, and then 4 objects. And this is the real Mad Libs one because those can be any random thing. And once you have all these things, once you have your single location, your 2 characters, your goals, and your objects to include, then okay, I have a place to start. I know where we are. I know who is here. I know what they want. And I know some things that they can touch and pick up and use to get it. Because one thing about playwriting, the thing it has over, I think, any other form of media, whether that's film, whether that's a book, whether that's a comic book even, is that it is 3-dimensional and it is people in space. When you go see a play, you physically could stand up and walk on stage and interrupt the action and pick up the props and touch the actors' faces. You shouldn't. It'd be quite rude. It'd be very destructive, but you feasibly could. We are sharing a space, and the only barrier that separates us from the theater world is imagination. It's very tangible. Every prop does exist. The point is that tangibles are what makes theater so special. Even if it is, a thing of plywood that's been painted to look like a wall, we treat it like a wall. That wood is in a way playing a role. And chairs that we bring out of storage and put on stage to be the king's throne, that chair is now playing the role of a throne. So that's why objects are important. So let's say for our location, let's just lock this down for an example. Feel free to play along at home with this one or make your own afterwards, but here's a test version. For a location, let's say that we're gonna borrow a writing exercise from Paula Vogel, who is an American playwright and playwriting instructor, one of the more influential ones of America in the 21st and 20th century. which is the Roman scene, basically borrowing from Roman theater. We're going to have this play set in a city square, and on one side is the harbor, and on the other side is town. Harbor, town, writing this down for myself. And that is where we're going to set it. And so we have two characters. Let's say that their names are, Brooke, give me a name.
Annabelle.
Annabelle, and I'll come up with the next one. Fair is fair. Annabelle and Grace Ann are our two characters. What do they want? They have 3 goals. Let's say one of the goals, we won't decide who has which one. One of the goals is to eat. Someone's hungry. Another goal is to find treasure. And the third goal is to get married. Now, one of these characters is going to have 2 goals, or they could share a goal. Maybe they're both hungry, or maybe everyone wants to get married in this story, or maybe they're all looking for the same treasure. That's up to you as the writer. That's exciting. And now we need 4 objects. So I'm going to look around my room and find 2, and I'm going to ask Brooke to use her so good improv skills to look around where she's shooting and find 2. Okay, I have mine. Brooke, do you have yours?
Yes.
Great. Well, I'll say one, then you say one, and we'll repeat like that. So paperclip. Vacuum, light bulb, water bottle. Great. Okay, so now we have our pieces. So we are in a square where one side is the harbor and the other side is home or town. We have Annabelle and Grace Ann. We have the goals to eat, find treasure, and get married. And then we have our objects: paperclip, vacuum, light bulb, water bottle. And now you can write anything. This could be a 2-minute sketch. This could be a 10-minute short play. This could be a full length at some point. It's up to you. This is your bare bones how to build a skeleton for your play and how to give yourself things to play with. So now we'll do some writing and we'll be right back. As am I.
Wonderful. So how long is yours?
Mine is a page and a third. It's not particularly long.
Oh, okay.
With lots of spaces in between each line. That's how it's a page and a third. How long is yours?
Mine is about a page, like this.
Okay.
Page.
Ah, nice.
Would you like to read yours, or I can read mine?
I'll read mine first, and then we'll finish with yours, because I suspect yours is better. Okay, so this does not have a title. This is untitled, piece number 12. Okay. Grace Ann enters from the harbor, tired and sweaty. Annabelle meets her, hands her a water bottle, which Grace Ann immediately drinks down. Annabelle says, "There she is, queen of the high seas." Grace Ann says, "I'd rather you not shout. The seas weren't very fruitful." Annabelle says, "What do you mean? The map was crystal clear." Grace Ann says, "Don't yell. You sound like a vacuum." Annabelle, "I'm not yelling." Grace Ann, "I'm exhausted. I'm starving and I'm empty-handed." Annabelle says, "Get back here. Where's that gold?" Grace Ann says, "At the bottom of a different ocean, I guess. This is all I found." Annabelle pulls out an old light bulb. Grace Ann pulls out an old light bulb. This is why you edit. Annabelle, we spent all our money on this map. Grace Ann, "Did we?" Annabelle, "I mean, I spent all mine. Didn't you spend all yours?" Grace Ann, "No, why would I do that? I don't take risks like that." Annabelle, "I can't be broke. I have a first date tomorrow. All I have for jewelry are paper clips." Grace Ann says, "I guess he's paying them." Annabelle says, "I'm going to look foolish." Grace Ann says, "Well, there's an old saying about that." Annabelle says, "What?" Grace Ann says, "Don't be foolish." Annabelle says, "That's not a very good saying." End of play.
Nice. What a nice little scene.
Ta-da.
So I can read mine now.
Wonderful.
All right. The setting: outdoors at a picnic table in a city square. two women, Annabelle and Grace Ann, sit talking. I'll do different voices so that,
The actor, yes.
All right, Annabelle says, and I think the colors should be blue and white because it is a spring wedding after all. And Grace Ann says, sure. You'll be the maid of honor, of course. Of course. So you'll have to take a bit of a lead. Okay. But don't worry, I'll coordinate almost everything, like food and music and decorations. I'll be cleaning everything and making sure all the lights are right. You might just have to get people a water bottle or vacuum up or something like that. And Grace Ann says, why do you want to get married anyway? Annabelle says, why would you ask that? It's just, we're really young. We're 25. And we have so much more to do. We could travel the world, take a food tour around Italy. We've always wanted to do that. We don't have any money. We could become pirates. Like when we were kids, we could hunt for buried treasure to fund our adventures. You're being silly. I know, it's just, I don't see why you need to get married. You've got me. And that's my short play, also untitled.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
See, so we have created two very different pieces, both in tone and subject matter, even though they came from the same ingredients, as it were. So even with this sort of formulaic approach to generating ideas, you can still find a lot of room for creativity and ways to make it your own.
Yeah, and this is definitely something that people can do while they're home right now. Remember, all you need is one location, two characters, 3 goals, and 4 objects. And then you can create your own short play.
Wonderful. And it's also a great thing to do remotely as a group. You and a few friends can get together, get these same ingredients, and then compare your pieces like Brooke and I just did. It's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for talking about that, Ryan, and telling us a little bit about playwriting. Before you go, I do have one more question, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you give to someone who's interested in becoming a playwright?
Okay, so how much time do we have? I'll try to boil it down to a few points. The first is be kind to yourself and be willing to write first drafts that you don't particularly like. Be patient with yourself and willing to accept that it's a process. Play development, each play has a long life cycle before it sees an audience, and lean into that. I would also say reach out to people and collaborate, because any kind of writing has the danger of being extremely solitary, and it's just you and your notepad and you and your computer just typing away all the time. It's a very isolated way to be, and in theater especially, it's a collaborative form. You need other people to make it happen. So reach out and talk to your friends about what you're working on. Find people who will read for it. Find actors, find directors who want to talk about how they'd want to see it. Find people who think about like design and costumes and stuff, and see what they would picture it as. Let it live in that 3-dimensional space like I was talking earlier. And also read a lot. Read anything and everything. And read a lot of plays, but also read novels that you're interested in and watch movies. Steal liberally from everyone and just find a way to make these ideas that you like and other things, make them your own. But don't think that you need to be an island to do it. I think is my biggest word of advice is to use the world around you and the people around you for your own benefit, and don't feel like you're alone, because you will not get very far if you are alone.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much once again for being on here and talking to us about this. If you are someone who wants to see Ryan, like he mentioned before, he will be in St. Croix Falls with us starting towards the end of August to direct our Youth and Family Series production of Stuart Little, which will go up in September. And you can view more about Ryan's work and see some of the projects he's worked on at ryangstevens.com, and I will link it somewhere around.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Once again, thank you all so much for watching today. We miss you all terribly, and we'll be so excited to have you back at the theater with us, hopefully soon. Your donations are what are keeping us going right now while we're not allowed to meet together. So any amount that you can give us, we so appreciate, and it will keep us sustained and in St. Croix Falls until we can all be together again. So once again, thank you so much. I am Brooke Smith, the Arts Education Director at St. Croix Festival Theater, and I'll see you soon.